Hi everyone, and welcome to a quick tutorial on working with sprites for 2D game development. I've just put together this tutorial just to handle a few basic tasks that I wish I had been shown how to do when I first started working with 2D sprites. So hopefully this makes your first intro to sprite-based 2D games a little bit easier. Okay, so first thing, when we're going to go find assets online, when we want to find sprites online, we'll probably start with a Google search, won't we? So let's say I'm working on a beach-based game and I want some palm trees in my game. So I might look for, sprite palm trees, okay? I do an image search, and I'll say this again and again. I tend to use OpenGameArt for a starting point because it's a free library, basically, open source free library of game art that we can use. So if I would look at this first example here, or even the second one that's got some animations, right? So this is a palm tree sprite. It looks a bit weird in that image, but if I download it and have a look at it straight away, it looks pretty good. Like it's a bunch of sprite frames creating an animation, so the palm tree moves, but crucially, it's also got a transparent background. There's nothing in the background. If I were to put this animation or one of these sprites into my game, then all I would see is the palm trees and no black or sort of purplish background like it currently has at the moment. It would just be the palm trees. That's kind of perfect. Right. Quick word on file types, I guess. This is a PNG file or portable network graphics file. Those are generally the best ones, the best file type you're going to find for sprites in your game, and that's because they can store a wide range of colors. They can also have transparency in the background, as I just showed, and they have like what's called a lossless compression. So when they get saved, they don't try to kind of optimize your file in any way, so that you don't end up with a more blurry image than you would hope for. So they're very good for making sprites in video games. So if we're getting sprites for a game, they can come in different sizes, and we want the sizes of our sprites to all match up, so that as soon as we drop them in our games, they're about the right size, and we don't have to scale, make things bigger or smaller inside the game. Because if you make things bigger, you can end up with blurry sprites, and if you make things smaller, well, then you can just kind of end up with unnecessarily large file sizes in your game, which can slow it down. So one thing you might want to do is a kind of general rule of thumb is to make the sprites the right size for your game. What I mean by that is just make them big enough that they look the right size as soon as you drop them in. And how you achieve that is so you might use this program, GNU Image Manipulation Program, or GIMP, which is image editing program, and we can in GIMP we can edit images, but we can also do something like we can compare the size of things. So let's say if I have those palm trees, I'll put those in there straight away. I just drag them onto GIMP, and I see they are this big. Okay, but how many pixels are they actually big? So one thing I can do is I can measure them, and I do that by clicking on this tool. And I can say okay, so this is kind of the top left, this is the bottom left, that distance is down here now, so that's like 127 pixels, and I could do another measurement across the top like that, so that's like 170 pixels. So it's like 127 pixels high by 172 pixels wide. Okay, cool. That might give me a starting point for the size of assets. And the only other thing I might want to do is say later on I decide, okay, I'd like a banana in my game. So I can use GIMP to just kind of compare the size of things. So if I just dragged this banana sprite on, if I move that up here, well, actually this banana is about the right size for the palm tree. If you look at the kind of, them in relation to each other, they're about the right size. Like the banana fits in the tree, if you know what I mean. But let's imagine that for some reason we want to make this palm tree a lot smaller just to demonstrate scaling. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Let's see, if I wanted to downsize the whole image or just one palm, maybe I'll just do one palm to start with. So if I select one of the palm trees I like, and then I go edit, copy, and then I go edit, paste as new image, right? So just imagine that I want this to be the same size as the banana. Okay, how big was that banana? Let's have a quick look. So I'll drag that banana back in, and how big was it? Let's measure it. So blah blah blah. Measure this guy, and about 16. So I'm guessing it's a 16 by 16 pixel banana. So I'm going to Control Z to remove that. Okay, so now I just need to scale this palm tree image to match that size. So if I go Image, Scale, Image, and then I make sure that this chain link is connected, not disconnected, so that it scales proportionally. Then when I just type I don't know, say 16 and press Tab, okay, so it's going to be roughly that. I could probably make it even, because the height is smaller than the width, I'm going to change it to maybe 20, just so that, yeah, okay, and I press Tab again. So I say scale, cool. And there's my scale down palm tree. Okay, so this is not the best example because it's kind of optimized it not very well, and it's got, basically this palm tree is too small to be even kind of useful now. But just so you can see how you might scale things to fit, so the objects all kind of fit together, okay? All right, so let's discard that for now. So what if then you come to find some game art and you've got, you're getting kind of desperate, you don't want to pay for some art, but you just need some placeholder art for a temporary prototype, okay? So you might come to some site like this. So if I visit this site, you'll see that this content creator is, has their assets on a site called DeviantArt, where you can actually pay them for this content, but you can't get it for free. What I mean by that is if I right click on this image, so it's got this tiled background, doesn't it? So that looks like it's got a transparent background, but the thing is, I know it doesn't. So if I save it, right click Save As, and if I go to Desktop and saving as a JPEG format, that's another hint that it's not quite what we want, because JPEG is not the normal PNG format for sprites. Then yeah, I notice it's got this background when I open it. Okay, so I need to get rid of that. I want to get rid of that because I want to use that asset just temporarily until I find a better one or create my own. Okay, so again with the GIMP, I'm just going to close this one, and then I'm going to drag this into GIMP, and then it's going to ask me, do you want to convert to sRGB? Yep, fine, GIMP, whatever. And there we go, so I have the asset now. So what I'm going to do here basically is I'm going to select everything in the background and effectively delete it or turn it into a true transparent background, okay? So to start with, I'm going to look over here at the channels panel, and I see that this image currently doesn't have a transparent background, so I need to add that. So I can I click on layers, right click on the image layer, say add alpha channel. Now when I go to channels, it's got an alpha or transparency channel. So now all that's left is a couple of things. So actually I'm going to need to select the tiles in the background and then delete them. So first thing I do is use this select my color tool. If you don't see that straight away, you might have the fuzzy select tool instead. Just right click and go select by color. Okay, then I click one of these lighter gray tiles, and I can see over here on the right what is selected in this selection editor view. And there's also this threshold thing here, which is telling me how much, what sort of range from the color. It's telling me which colors it's going to select when I click on a color to select. Okay, so if I click on it when the threshold is low, it's not going to select much stuff. If I raise the threshold a little bit, then when I clicked this, see now it's got some holes in it, so maybe I made that threshold a little bit high. Make the threshold about 50. And I'm going to call that sort of good enough. Then now if I want to delete that tile background, all I need to do is press delete, and it's gone. So I've got two palm trees here. I really only want one of them, so I'm just going to select one of them and then drop it into another a new image. Okay. So FYI, I could do the same thing, color select, for deleting that black bit in the middle, but let's just move on. So I'm going to select like this, and then I'm going to edit, copy, and then edit, paste this new image again, new image, and there's my new palm tree. Okay. So now last thing, It's currently a project in GIMP. It's not actually been saved as a file yet, so I say export, and yeah, I could rename this, but PNG is the format we want. I'm going to put it on my desktop, export, and then I'm going to accept these default settings for exporting to a PNG file. And we'll just go check and see if that worked out okay. So if I open this image now, yeah, now it has a transparent background again. So you can see it's like a little, my selection perhaps didn't work quite as well. It's not perfect, is it? But like I said, this is just for kind of creating, just for using temporary assets for now. I hope that gives you a little bit of little bit of lead into using sprites in your game and sort of being able to edit and modify them a little bit, so you can just jump in and enjoy the process of game development without getting too hung up. Okay, everyone, see you next time.